Coming up next, a bomb threat closes Iowa's largest construction site in southeast Iowa. I'll have a live report.
The Johnson County supervisors will discuss raising the county's minimum wage tomorrow during a work session.
And one more Republican, this time John Kasich, is taking a run at the GOP presidential nomination.
Live in high definition from your 24-hour news source. You're watching KCRG TV9 News at 5.
A bomb threat stopped work for hundreds of construction workers at a $1.8 billion fertilizer plant in southeast Iowa.
That threat forced authorities to evacuate the Iowa Fertilizer Company late this morning. That plant is under construction in Weaver, Iowa, just south of Burlington. It's been a controversial project because of large tax breaks the state and Lee County have given to Orascom, the Egyptian company that owns the plant. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says someone wrote on the side of a porta potty that a bomb would go off at noon today. A worker saw that threat yesterday afternoon and called the Sheriff's Office. KCRG TV9's Dave Franzman joins us live from that plant tonight. And Dave, have you heard anything about what was going on inside the plant this morning?
Bruce, we spoke to some of the workers who were inside here, but for obvious reasons, they didn't want to go on camera, fear of losing their jobs. But several described a somewhat confused situation with, say, workers in one part of the plant working for one particular subcontractor being told to go home early, others not getting that message for a considerable period of time. Now, the Lee County Sheriff's Office said the threat was first noted, as you mentioned, on a portable restroom at the construction site. It mentioned a noon deadline today. Bomb-sniffing dogs and officers went through the plant and vehicles. This morning, authorities actually began going through vehicles that were entering the construction site. Now, that created a massive traffic jam on nearby Highway 61, and that's what the closest neighbors certainly noticed.
It was way late for the traffic, and it was backed up further than I've ever seen it backed up.
We couldn't get out on the highway this morning yet. They wouldn't let you through, and the people trying to get to the fertilizer plant, you had to honk your horn at them.
Authorities say at least 36 security people were involved in that bomb search both yesterday and today. No one at the company, though, could be reached for any comment today. The Iowa Department of Natural Resources says there's really no especially hazardous material that's being stored at the plant currently, even though it will eventually manufacture fertilizer. Again, that's because it's still under construction. The plant is expected to open sometime late this year. Live in Lee County, Dave Franzman, KCRG TV9 News.
A crash near Newhall has killed a Vinton man. The Iowa State Patrol says a vehicle hit the man who stepped outside his car along Highway 30 just east of Highway 218 around 11 last night. Troopers say 61-year-old Michael Moore's vehicle broke down. Several witnesses say that's when he stepped into the roadway where a car hit and killed him. The State Patrol says ambulance workers treated and released the driver at the scene. We want to remind you that when you see news, call Newsline 9 after alerting authorities. Here's that number, 319-365-9999. You can also send us pictures or videos to newsroom@kcrg.com.
Let's turn to the weather now and meteorologist Joe Winters. And Joe, this is the kind of day we think about all winter long.
And we'd like to keep around for some time, maybe kind of bottle it up and bring it out in the middle of winter. Just beautiful July weather this afternoon. And it's going to continue for a couple of days in a row. Here's how it looks live right now from our Cedar Falls City Cam on the UNI campus. Of course, awaiting the RAGBRAI riders' arrival tomorrow. Right now, our current conditions, 79 in Cedar Rapids and Cedar Falls. We're at 77. Dubuque at 80. Dew points very, very comfortable from 53 degrees in Dubuque to as much as 59 in Washington. We will stay comfortable as we head through the nighttime hours. And with a clear to at times partly cloudy sky, the mercury will drop as well. It looks like the 70s for the evening and the 60s as we head toward the overnight hours. Ultimately, some chances of showers and storms once again return to the forecast. We'll show you when coming up.
Thank you, Joe. Iowa Congressmen Rod Blum and Dave Loebsack say construction of the Cedar Rapids Flood Management Project needs to start soon. The 2008 flood caused close to $2.5 billion in property losses in the city. Congress authorized the project last year when it passed the Water Resources Reform and Development Act, but it still has not appropriated the $73 million in federal funds to build the project. Blum and Loebsack say the Army Corps of Engineers needs to address those delays to speed up the start of construction. The Cedar Rapids City Council has approved a flood management project that includes earthen levees, permanent flood walls, removable walls, and gates at the bridges. But the city is projecting it could take 20 years to build it all.
The Johnson County Board of Supervisors may talk about increasing minimum wage within county limits. Johnson County Executive Assistant Andy Johnson says the board is expected to discuss putting into place an ordinance that would raise minimum wage in Johnson County. The supervisors are holding a work session around 10 tomorrow morning, with this being the second item on their agenda. Several board members have been seen participating in recent protests titled Fight for 15. Johnson says details of the ordinance are still in the works. Iowa's unemployment rate is down for the fourth time this year. That's according to figures the Iowa Workforce Development released this week. During the month of June, the state's unemployment rate dropped 0.1% to 3.7%. This is also a decrease from last June, when the state's jobless rate was 4.4%. Iowa's unemployment rate is well under the U.S. average, which was 5.3% in June.
Republican Donald Trump has fired back at an editorial in the Des Moines Register. On Monday, the newspaper said it's time for the real estate mogul to drop out of the 2016 presidential race. The editorial called Trump an unqualified and self-absorbed celebrity who is more concerned about promoting himself than addressing national issues. Well, this morning, Trump replied to that with a statement that said recent poll results showing him leading were too much for the Register to bear. He considers the Register to be one of the most liberal newspapers in the U.S. He also called it a dishonest and failing newspaper that's desperate to make a headline. The Register's editor, Amelie Nash, then released a statement that said his campaign has never contacted our staff with concerns about our reporting and has in fact complimented our coverage. She also said this editorial will have no effect on the Register's coverage of Donald Trump. Speaking of presidential candidates, the Republicans have yet another one. Ohio Governor John Kasich jumped into the race this morning. He's the 16th major Republican running for the GOP nomination. Kasich launched his campaign in front of a crowd at Ohio State University. He's hoping his 18 years in Congress and now 2 terms as a swing state governor will help him stand out among all the candidates. Kasich briefly ran for the Republican nomination back in 2000. His last time here in Iowa was on June 24th.
One local music business won a state award for its volunteerism today. West Music Company received the inaugural Give Back Iowa Award for the medium-sized business category. Give Back Iowa is an initiative that encourages employees in Iowa to volunteer in their communities. Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds was in Coralville to award West Music. 24 of the company's 210 employees participated in the 6-week challenge, including providing music therapy to organizations in surrounding communities. They logged 659 volunteer hours.
I'm ecstatic. I'm extremely honored and proud of all the associates at West Music and their commitment to this challenge, because it really is. It's about the Iowans and the people that we gave back to through this challenge.
West Music's president and CEO challenges every business in Iowa to participate in the initiative. In its first year, 50 businesses took part.
Well, the campaign has started to raise money to help cover the medical expenses for a bald eagle that's died. The eagle's name was Edwina. In 1989, she flew into a road sign in Monona County, which led to the amputation of one wing. She then became an educational program animal on display for 26 years at Fontana Park in Hazleton. She died Sunday from a fungal respiratory infection. The Buchanan County Conservation Center works with Fontana Park to help pay the expenses for animal health care, but the eagle needed a lot of that care, which could mean there won't be enough money to help other animals for the next few months.
And we have bills that are over $2,000 for her health care, and the Buchanan County Conservation Board doesn't have that as part of the budgeted amount to work with our animals every year.
Friends of Fontana Park, a nonprofit support group of the Conservation Center, is helping gather donations for the cause. For more information on how you can help, check out this web story at kcrg.com.
One man who grew up in Cedar Rapids is crossing something big off his bucket list.
He's riding on RAGBRAI for the first time. KCRG TV9's John Campbell has his story coming up.
And if you're thinking of jumping in on the ride tomorrow from Eldora to Cedar Falls, the weather will be perfect. 50s in the morning, 80s in the afternoon with a light northerly wind. We'll take a look at our complete extended forecast into the weekend next. Keep it here on TV 9.
Live, on air, and online from your 24-hour news source, Bruce Owney, Beth Malicki, and Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters. This is KCRG TV 9 News at 5.